Good morning. Tommy Grisafi, ATI ProMedia. You'll see they're not allowing me to hit the buttons anymore. A much more relaxed Tommy. But we have a lot of things to talk about that might make you stressful. Corn down 2 cents. New lows again. New 33-month lows in corn, not contract lows. That contract opened many years ago at a much lower price. We're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about what's going on in the outside markets. We'll get into that right now, but there's a lot of things happening, folks, as we come into the December months in the stock market and the volatility and whatnot. We're we're going to talk about those things because it affects you as a farmer. Let's get in the show here. And I like talking about interest rates. I think it's important. A few months ago, I would have said you're either getting paid 5% or paying 10%. Lower those numbers down. You're either making 4.5% on a T bill or you're paying 9% in operating. Now, you take what I'm saying, and it's not good news we're bringing here, but it is the news. We don't get to wake up in the morning and decide we're going to have a happy show. I'm not a cheerleader. I tell you when the markets go up, I tell you when they go down, and I wouldn't look good in a dress anyway. So, with that, the 10-year yield is at 4.4. We also have something called the VIX. Every market has a VIX, and the VIX in the stock market is at multi year lows. I think I noticed this morning it had a 14 in front of it. I've seen the VIX spike up to the 70, 80 level during the '08 crisis, financial crisis. So the VIX has definitely toned it down a bunch. There's some other things going on financially. Producer Joe didn't know I was going to talk about this, but I noticed right before we started the show, gold. Gold's at $2,025 an ounce. I don't know what it means. I mean, none of us here on the show are growing gold. A few of us have a few ounces here tucked away, whatever. It's just something to talk about. It's a commodity. It gives us hope that one of the yellow commodities is going up. One yellow commodity, gold, 2025. The other yellow commodity, corn, is going down. With that, we'll bring Connor in the show, and he has a lot to talk about in grains and everything else. Connor, where are you, my friend?
Tommy G, can you see me? Here we are.
I see you. I hear you.
Happy Tuesday. We got a big day talking about the other yellow commodity, corn, and a little bit of soybeans. The first one we got Dees futures. First notice day will be Thursday, right? Hopefully, everyone's rolled or priced basis contracts. HTAs were out of them, but first notice day will be Thursday. We'll see how many deliveries we'll have after that. Other thing we're looking at yesterday, we had the commitment of traders report. Usually comes out on Friday. It came out on Monday, and it was not a pretty picture on the corn and wheat front. Corn futures, the funds are as short as they've been. Last time they were this short, summer of 2020, Tommy. Not a pretty picture on corn and wheat. KC wheat, the funds are as short as they've been. We got to go back to 2019 to see the funds this short on wheat. So not a pretty picture, and probably a big reason why we're seeing new, fresh, what'd you say, 33-month lows on corn and on wheat as well. Soybean front, a little bit different story. We've got record long on soy meal, which is always good to see, right? And soybeans with the dryness, as we'll talk a little bit, weather issues in South America. We continue to see the funds long, healthy long in the soybean front. So we'll continue to watch that, but not a pretty picture. Corn and wheat, definitely. Other
Connor,
thing we've,
can I add a
yes,
little
sir.
color real quick?
Yes, sir.
We know it's not a secret. Everyone's talking about it. The farmer's undersold. Because prices have been so high for multiple years that when they were higher this summer during it was a very hot summer and Mississippi River was hitting lows, it didn't seem like we were going to grow a big crop. Somehow, miraculously, we grew a big crop, which gets me thinking. You're too young to know, but in 2012 was truly, truly a drought. And people, you go ask your father what his yield was in 2012, and it could be under 100. But with that, we still grew billions of bushels of corn. For example, maybe in 2012, we thought we're going to grow a 14 billion crop or a 13.5, and we grew a 12. Every year, America's going to produce corn. This is that sad time of the year. Listen to what you said. The funds are short and hitting the gas, and the American farmer is undersold. The American farmer should be mad that everyone knows that, but it's not a secret because anyone, and I'll let you throw it back to you. Anyone who works with an elevator, every elevator knows what sales they have on their books. Is that correct?
That's right. And question for you, Tommy, is how young do you think I am? I absolutely remember 2012 when you're when you're in Central Illinois. You don't forget that drought, right? My dad could tell you exactly when 88 hit. My grandpa could tell you what was his drought, 56. So I'm not quite that young. I absolutely remember
You
2012.
must be coloring your hair or something. You're gonna have to give me some tidbits. The
Uh,
point of the story is we always produce something, and that something needs to be sold. These commodities will spoil after a while. And speaking of spoiling, cattle don't store well either in a bin. Incredible, incredible volatility. Rumor mills swishing around on that cattle market. I don't even want to go to the dirtiness of what I've heard on the in the interweb about what possibly could be happening in cattle. Cattle are currently trading up a little bit today. Obviously, they had a horrible day Friday on abbreviated day and a horrible day yesterday. We did have a question that we didn't see, and of course, people are allowed to ask a question. If you subscribe to the Advanced Trading YouTube channel, you can drop a question. We have a choice or not whether we want to air it. But someone off the air yesterday said, "How low do you think cattle can go?" I'd like to answer that question. They can go as low as they want. This is a futures and options market. The most wonderful thing of when crude oil went down to negative 38 is we no longer have to go on camera or TV and say, I think cattle's going to stop in $5. Why? Why would I say that? I mean, if there's truly some nastiness happening in the cattle market, they can go lower. Your risk is still, this hurts to say, your risk is that cattle go lower and your risk is that corn goes lower. At some point, though, you will see a vicious, vicious short covering rally in both corn and cattle.
I think Brady's chart yesterday gave a great analysis on we've had a rough day, right? Past 2 days, maybe past couple weeks on the cattle market where they beat the crap out of it. But let's look at it 6 months back. We've had some very nice rallies in cattle too. So that question that could it go lower, if we look at it in chart form, Brady's chart, I think we could get that answer pretty easily.
Hey,
So
Connor B,
yes, sir.
you know who has two thumbs and is speaking for Wiffles Hybrids tomorrow in Davenport, Iowa at the casino?
Who's that?
This guy, this guy,
Awesome.
6 o'clock, see you at the casino. Will teach you how not to market like you're at a casino. Wiffles Hybrids, Davenport, Iowa. Get a hold of your sales men or sales women. I'm sure they have a few extra tickets. Back to you, sir.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Other news we got, Tommy, we've got exporter sales, 4.5 million bushels of soybeans for delivery to unknown destinations for 23-24 marketing year. And so good to see. What we did have yesterday also was export inspections. And so I just want to look. We've been talking a lot of flash sales. We've had good bean sales, great meal sales. Let's look at that in chart form and historically. First thing, kicking off on corn, purple line there, as you can see, that's this year. So are we on track with previous years? We're there, but we've got some work to do, right? Seasonally, we're not in that seasonal time frame for corn where US is usually the best destination, the best one to export corn. But as you can see, we're in line, but we've got some work to do, and we're going to need to see some follow through in December, January. But then on the hot topic in terms of flash sales is going to be soybean shipments. So have we had fantastic soybean sales, fantastic flash sales? Has China been buying a lot? Yes. Is it necessarily unusual for this time of year? Not really. If anything, we're a little bit behind 21 and 22 from what we've seen. That dotted line at the bottom, Tommy, is going to be what we need to average each week. So this time frame, right, when Brazil is planting their soybean crop, that's when we're usually the best exporter, the best destination for people to come by. So have we had great flash sales? Yes. Keeping in line with looking at historicals, we could still have some work to do. We need to see some follow through in January through the rest of December for us to really see some good export numbers and to hit that USDA's number. So,
Connor B,
bottom line, yes, sir.
can I say something smart?
Yes,
I
always.
read, I you were waiting. I read Dr. Larry's morning email, and I had noticed that he had put in that there's some more news coming out of the Panama Canal and to keep an eye out of shipments up at the PNW, the Pacific Northwest. Our good folks in North Dakota, if you have soybeans in North Dakota, South Dakota, Minnesota, keep an eye on that local cash market if they quick ship out of PNW versus what might happen down there in South America. Back to you, my friend.
Absolutely. That's going to be a big one because suddenly, if we're going down the Mississippi River, a month ago, Tommy, we were talking about how we couldn't get anything down the Mississippi River. Now those levels have came back, and now we're looking at the PNW. Sometimes it feels like you can't. I'm sorry, if the Panama Canal, where we can't get anything down there. Sometimes it feels like we can't win with that St. Louis market, right? That's my river terminal. And
I
so,
love it.
yeah, well, that's all we got, folks. Don't forget, feel free to give us a call, 855-737-FARM farm. Please like and subscribe YouTube, Spotify, Apple. We'll be doing this every day at 9 a.m. Tune in. And with that, we'll see you tomorrow.
I understand we have a pretty chart of that. Let me see. There we go.
There it
All right,
is.
everyone. See you tomorrow at 9.
Thanks for joining us. We're here every day, 9 a.m. Central. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We'll see you next time.